Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Michelle Nelson, and I'm the social media content specialist here at Field Routes. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for the cost of inflation and learning to make your business thrive, the second in our two-part series featuring Christeen Era, co-founder of Green Profit Academy. Before we get started, though, I'll give you a little bit of background on her. Christeen Era is an accounting and consulting professional who has helped hundreds of small and mid-sized service businesses improve their cash flow, post higher profits, and achieve stronger growth. In her book, Profit First, Era provides an industry-specific toolbox to help field service business owners manage their expenses and increase their gross profit margins to as high as 65%. She also identifies industry best practices and exposes hidden bleeds that kill profits. Era also provides assessments that offer a clear, accurate snapshot of a business's operations, maps out a road to success in which owners can identify their best customers and most profitable services. Era is not only passionate about her clients and their flourishing and their growth, but she's also a certified accounting professional, a certified mastery level profit first professional, certified pumpkin plan strategist, and fix this next advisor. Welcome, Christeen.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody's time here today, joining us and tuning in. So I'm going to get started with sharing my screen so we can start talking about what we're all here to talk about. All right, so we are going to talk about today the cost of inflation and learning to make your business thrive. We're going to dive into some systems and processes that will help you manage your cash flow, in addition to how to keep track of price increases and when you should do it, and some tools around those as well. Right, so is your business thriving or is it just surviving? Businesses that make a profit of 10% are just barely surviving. Anything under that means your company is on life support. Your profit needs to be 10% to 15% for your business to survive, and 15% to 20% or more for your business to thrive. If you don't take steps to move your profit from the surviving level to the thriving level, your business will fall victim to lack of profit, no matter how long you have been at it. Today, we're going to review some pricing and cost management tools that will support you in obtaining higher profits in your company. But before we dive into these tools, we want to talk a bit about business profitability and growth. But before we do that, we're going to ask our first polling question. We want to know there we go. What is your profit range for your business? Great, thank you. So we are getting the highest level at 56%, between 11 and 20%. So we're going to use lawn care and landscape as a focus today, because this is going to give you all an idea of the potential of profitability in a service-based industry. So this industry has so much potential to be highly profitable. One of the questions we started asking is, why are so many businesses struggling? So recent data summarized that 27% of lawn care and landscape businesses made less than 10% profit, and 16% were not profitable at all. So over 78% of the industry as a whole makes less than 31% profit. So we're going to be talking a lot about costs and how to get more profit out of your business. But do you know what profit looks like for your company? I want you to go ahead and consider some of these questions. What will it take to generate 50 to 65% gross profit margins in your business? What steps can you take to achieve 18 to 20% net profit in your business? And can you identify all the factors that are decreasing your gross profit margin or your net profit margin? And what must you do to get your business to a higher level of profitability? This figure summarizes the percentages of lawn care and landscape businesses with income ranges from 200,000 to 5 million. We have found in total 93% are under 5 million and only 61% are under 500,000. The golden question is what stunts the growth beyond the 500,000 point in this business. So we're going to go ahead and ask our next polling question. Let's see. So our top percentage is 0 to 250,000. So we are all in the right place to talk about this subject. So let's continue here. So you need to establish a successful business before you can start thinking about growth. But it never hurts to think about growth opportunities as you go about your daily business. So more growth doesn't always bring more profit, but it does add expenses. It's also important to define what growth means to you. Is it building a better foundation or increasing your revenue and size of your business? You need to protect your profit. In order to protect your profit, you will need profit to grow. So if your business isn't producing profit, you know you have a pricing or delivery issue that ties back to profitability. So 99% of businesses are started by specialists and technicians that are not experts in small business finance. 96% of businesses won't make it to 10 years. Owners don't know how to turn profits into cash, and this causes cash flow problems. We all need profit to run and grow our businesses, but chasing revenue will not build up our bank accounts, but effective cash management will create predictable profit to grow your company. So we all need a solution that tells us exactly what to do with our cash in any situation. So what distracts us from generating profit in our businesses? I want to take a minute to share with you the survival trap. This is one of my favorite sources from Mike Michalowicz. He talks about it not only in his Profit First book, but also in Pumpkin Plan. So the survival trap is a coping strategy that takes entrepreneurs away from their ultimate vision, where they want their business to be and how they want it to look and operate. Entrepreneurs fall into the survival trap when they move away from focusing on achieving their ultimate vision and instead do whatever it takes in the moment to stay afloat financially, meet deadlines, and resolve employee or client issues. Those caught in the survival trap believe that solving crises or urgent issues in any way they can is a good thing because it saves the business. In reality, it has the opposite effect. As this figure shows, many of the things that a business does out of desperation does not move the business toward its ultimate vision. Instead, they waste valuable resources and energy. Ideally, you want to move from point A, your crisis, to point B, your vision. When you're caught up in the survival trap, you move away from your vision. You may offer a new product for immediate revenue, take on an unfit project to cover this month's payroll, run a last-minute promotion to generate quick cash, change terms, make collection calls, and find other ways to speed up the cash flow. All of this moves you away from your vision and your profit. So who doesn't want to create predictable profit in their business? To me, it sounds like a magical solution, and I would sign up for that any day of the year. So you can do this by connecting to the Profit First system, taking control of how your business performs. And I did present last month on the Profit First system. We're going to kind of review this for some of you who were not there last month. So since profit is a behavioral-based cash management system, the benefits of this system are profit becomes a habit, not an event in your business. The Profit First system acts as a translator between the finances of the business and the owner. And this permits everyone to understand what cash came in and what cash went out. Profit First is very useful for managing departments and companies, almost as if they operate as a standalone profit center in a small business. Profit First enables you to instantly measure the financial health of your business and take action by simply looking at your bank account balances. This is a system that ensures profitability if followed. When you connect with the Profit First system in your business, you learn how to take control of it, and Profit First gets you focused on your profit centers. So I'm just going to unpack the core principles of Profit First. Number one is, what is an axiom? So an axiom is a statement universally accepted as true, like an established principle or law of science. It's a seemingly self-evident or necessary truth, which is based on assumption, a principle or proposition which cannot be proved or disproved. Number two is the primacy effect. This is an interesting psychological phenomena that all human beings experience. It will give you a greater understanding of why the concept of Profit First matters and how you can best support its success. When profit comes first, it's the focus and it's never forgotten. Number three is Parkinson's law. And this explains why it takes 2 weeks to complete a project when we are given 2 weeks to complete it, and 8 weeks to complete the same project when we are given 8 weeks. Similarly, when we are given $1,000 to complete a task, we get it done for $1,000. While if we are given $10,000 to complete the same task, it can cost $10,000. So when you're taking your profit first, there is less money available for expenses, and you are forced to find ways to get the same things done for less money. And the fourth one is bank balance accounting. So this makes business owners reactive rather than proactive, sending them into survival mode and keeping them there. In contrast, Profit First encourages business owners to first allocate money to profit and other accounts so that they see the actual portions of deposits that are available for expenses. Then they automatically adjust their spending. So let's talk about the foundation of Profit First. So the first one is small plates. Profit First is just like the old envelope system. Some of you may have, been familiar with this growing up, whether your parents or your grandparents kind of followed this process. It's cash in envelopes dedicated for a specific purpose. Cash compiles in your income account and gets allocated to the specific accounts it needs to be used for, such as profit, owner's pay, taxes, operating expenses, and materials and subcontractors. The second foundation is sustainability first. So feast or famine, as an entrepreneur, you may feel as though your bank account is flooded with cash, or as though you are robbing Peter to pay Paul. So rather than starving yourself and then gorging when you have the chance, it's much healthier to eat frequent, small meals. You never feel hungry, you're better able to control your consumption, and you have amazing mental clarity. The point here is to prioritize what is really important and put your profit first. Number three is removing temptation. So people are driven by convenience in the context of business. Temptation is a desire to give into short-term urges that threaten to undermine the company. So if you're constantly struggling to keep your hand out of the piggy bank, the solution is to remove the temptation by dividing your funds into separate accounts. You see and spend only what you have, and you eliminate the temptation to move money around, or that is to overspend in your business. And the fourth step is implement a rhythm. So creating a rhythm in your business by funding each account in advance with the cash you know it needs stops the reactive behavior when it comes to your cash flow. And it allows you to be responsive versus reactive. So we're probably all familiar with what they call the GAP formula, whether you're an accounting guru or not. So this is the generally accepted accounting principles for determining a business's profit. So it's sales minus expenses equals profit. It's a simple, logical, and clear formula, but unfortunately, this formula is deceiving. The formula, while logically accurate, does not account for our human behavior. So what's the challenge for us as business owners? So when we follow a conventional formula of sales minus expenses equals profit, we are primed to focus on those first two words, sales and expenses, and then we treat profit as an afterthought. We behave accordingly. We're going to sell as hard as we can, then use the money that we collect to pay expenses. We stay stuck in the cycle of selling to pay bills over and over again, wondering why we never see any profit. With the profit first formula, logically the math is the same, but from the standpoint of the entrepreneur's behavior, it is radically different. With profit first, we take a predetermined percentage of profit from every sale first, and only the remainder is available for expenses. So profit first isn't just about managing your cash, it's about measuring your business's performance. So let's talk about the cost of doing business. We've all realized inflation is real and it's accelerating. This has been a challenge for many small businesses. If you don't look at the future cost of doing business, you may be going out of business. There are apparent issues with the supply chain snags, labor shortages, equipment, etc. And the challenges don't lie in those problems themselves. The main challenges for our industry will be our ability to approach these challenges with a truly creative mindset and thrive in the face of these issues. So if we can't come up with a holistic solution for staffing and supply, we're really going to be in dire straits. So I want to talk about material. So we've had supply chain problems as widely affected everything from product materials to equipment availability. Raw material costs have driven the price increases on finished good products. The high cost of raw materials and high demand have led an increase in chemicals and fertilizer prices as well. With our labor, the consumption price index, which is referred to as CPI, data is very clear. So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, in November of 2021 report, the CPI shows an increase of 6.8% from 1 year ago. However, the monthly rate of price increases is accelerating. In October of just this last year, it was 0.9%, and November was 0.8%. So if you just look at these two averages, it's a 0.85% per month of increase. And if you multiply this by 12 months in a year, you're going to get a 10.2 increase overall. So the State Department of Labor, which is also referred to L&I, announced a 3.1% increase in the average workers' compensation premium rate for hours worked in 2022. So with this rate increase, the average rate per $100 of payroll would be $1.53. So it's a 1.4% increase from the prior year. Oops, let's jump back here. So then we have a 23%. So 23% of employees will seek new jobs in 2023, while 9% have already secured a new position. I know it's hard enough to recruit and retain good labor in the service industry and the trades industry. So looking at the opportunity of losing your good team members is not an option in my book. Another sore point that I feel like this has been a sore topic for well over a year now is gasoline increased 30% in 2021. From January 2021 to March 2022, fuel increased by $2.52 a gallon. So just that amount, adding that to your cost of goods sold to try to service your customers, that's a pretty hefty price point. And then equipment, and this is a shocking, kind of area on the amount of equipment, like just to buy a truck personally for your personal use, and then you add into the business. So the purchase of a new truck in this coming year, you're going to find out that you'll be paying, if you haven't already, 10 to 20% more than you paid in the last year. And this is from new equipment to used equipment. So these increases are adding up pretty fast when you're looking at what are we paying for now versus what we used to be paying. So when you look at these percentages of cost increase rates, your 12.5% seems reasonable. So the maximum price increase needed in 2022 was 12.5%. So then what do we need to do in 2023? So on top of that 12.5 increase that happened in 2022, that I hope you all made, you're going to have to do another 8% increase this year. So that could be a little troubling. I know we've coached many people through this kind of challenge of, well, how am I supposed to tell my customers now? How am I supposed to tell them this? So these increases were essential to maintain margin. So this 12.5 was absolutely what you needed. And if you haven't maintained your process around price increases, you need to make the adjustments now. If this didn't happen for you in 2022, you're behind the ball. The number one main indicator that your prices are too low is your sales are too easy. So if you find that you're making sales easily, this is an indication, one, that your prices are too low and you should be considering a price increase. If you also find that you're working at capacity and losing money, this is also an indication your pricing as well as your operations need to be reviewed. So what's stopping you from making a price increase in your business? So what stops most business owners from raising the bar? It's fear. Many business owners think that if they raise their prices, it will scare off their customers and they'll look to their competitors. So feeling nervous about the adjustment is normal, but consider that in some circumstances, price implies value. You wouldn't go to a discount doctor. So you may find that you will lose a few customers, but if you're making more profit from the others and the new ones, then you may be better off in the long run. So fear-based challenges can be, we will be too expensive, customers will cancel, we won't win the work, prices are too high, we will need to compete on other factors than price alone. And that can be a challenge because you might have to start looking deeper into your business model. So these are all common concerns. And yes, there may be some clients and customers who are with you right now just because of your prices, but generally they are a minority. Perhaps you need to lose some of those clients who expect low prices in order to make room for the clients who are willing and able to pay the prices that reflect your true worth. So I want to talk about what is the cost if you don't do a price increase. And these are some things that I'm sure some of you have thought of and maybe others that you haven't had even time to consider. So you can't pay your employees a decent pay rate. So that can be one of the challenges. You could lose employees to your competitor. And it takes a lot more time and money to recruit the right person than it is to retain them. Lower quality materials could be being used because you're trying to save money and cut corners on price. You're going to have a lower profit margin, and you won't be able to grow. You won't be able to afford to even grow your business. So your pricing sets the tone of the kind of company you want to be and the type of customers you are looking to have. So for instance, if you are known for your low cost pricing, customers typically won't expect high-end customer service. If you have higher pricing, customers will expect all the bells and whistles for what they're paying you for your services. So what are the benefits of a price increase? So growth, you'll want to grow your business, not just gain a ton of new customers. Raising prices is far easier and more effective way to grow than trying to win a new customer over. It is estimated that it costs 7 times more to win new business than it does to sell to existing customers. So this is one of my favorites. So cleaning house. So having the right customers is what matters most to a business. If you raise your prices, your low quality customers will leave and go elsewhere, leaving those high quality customers who see the value in what you charge. So quality over quantity. Your business's increasing costs are not the same as increasing a price. So most of the revenue you get from increasing your prices goes towards increasing your profits. Competition. So when figuring out where your new pricing should be, look at your competition. You may not want to be the lowest or the highest in your area, but show your customers the quality and the services that they can get that your company provides. A value statement. So most consumers have heard that saying, you get what you pay for. If your services are too low, many buyers will assume there's something wrong with it. Also, other competitors may follow suit and lower their prices, and then you're just in the race to the bottom. And then value focus. So by raising your pricing, you need to look at the services as a whole. You will also need to improve your quality of services. So what other high value items can you provide to your customers? By focusing on your value will help show your customers that you're willing to focus on the overall experience in the long run. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts of cost management. So don't eat the cost. Every business that plans on surviving through this period of rapid inflation is going to need to raise their prices, or the company won't survive. Do a price increase. So identify what percentage you need to increase prices by and get it done. If you don't, you will be paying for it now and in the years to come. Don't cut pay. Inflation is impacting everyone, and you do not want to sacrifice your team, the culture of your business, or your business by reducing wages. Do increase wages. So make sure you're planning out your price increase and giving your team that pay increase. So increase wages. If you have a good team, pay them more. Companies on average are looking at providing a 3.9% wage increase. Don't skip training. So when starting a new hire or getting your team back in action, train, practice, and review. What's their job? What's their role? What are their expectations? And do onboarding and reboarding. So mediate risk management, improve your safety practices, keep that focus on refreshing your team and going through, getting the new employees through the orientation and making sure that they are protected and in the know. And if you have a seasonal business or you switch services throughout the year, you're going to need to bring your team back up to speed and get them familiar with the processes. So practice, practice, practice. The other one is don't be everything to everybody. Even if you feel like you are turning away work, make sure your team and company stay efficient. Providing services that are not a profit center can cost money and wear down your team. and max out their capacity. Do focus on profitable customers and service. So identify what services make you the most money and provide those services. Don't waste your time on negative, nagging customers, or we call them chirpers, who take up your time to stress you and your team out. All right, so increased cost challenges. So will our sales decrease if we raise our prices? These are questions that we get asked all the time. The labor market is so competitive. How can I afford to pay more? What opportunities exist that can help us improve the overall efficiency in the company? What technology can I use to help me? And what do I need to track to best manage raising prices? So raising prices of services across the board, you're going to make sure you look at all goods and services. Reduce the company budget in other categories to cover the cost of the overall increases. So really get lean, look at what are we spending. We call this an expense analysis in the Profit First system. It's one of the things that we do is we look at what is the company spending and how is it providing the value to not only the team, but also the customers that we're serving, and then cut everything out. So you're going to get, lean and mean when it comes to your expenses. Use technology more. So utilize the features you have in your software suites, routing, tech to office communications, GPS maps, photos, video, email, etc. So if you don't have your field route system built out the way that you should and totally utilized, you should contact your representative and figure out what else you can do to get your software totally utilized. At the most, we have found that software is only about 80% utilized, and you're missing 20% of an opportunity. So reschedule work days with less trips to the same areas or shorter days that keeps the crew in one area rather than adding driving time, driving to another area, or adding overtime hours to extend the workday. Calculate the price per man hour for accurate price increases to cover the labor, equipment, and fuel cost, and even maintenance. So making sure you're looking at how much does it take to maintain our equipment, because that will add many years to your equipment life, and including that cost in there as well. Buy large expenses or fuel with credit cards with cashback options. So make sure you're using your cards that have rewards on them. Schedule tight and effective routes. So use computer routing for the most effective routes. And this is something that I know that the software supports you in. I've seen the amazing benefits that it has in setting up your routes. And shrink the outliers on routes and service area size. So most companies have 90% of their clients in a defined area with 10% scattered outliers. So you really want to weigh and measure those outliers and identify what lost opportunity cost lie in servicing that 10% of those outliers. If I bring that person into a certain route, are they going to be able to produce higher revenue and profits by being more focused in their service area? So this is one of the tools that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to share a link with you at the end where you can download this tool. I really like to create tools that are done for you to where you just need to punch in the information and it tells you what you need to know, so it's not complicated. So this lets you calculate your current cost and your new cost based on the percentage of increase. This calculator will allow you to identify how much you may need to increase your pricing based on the changes in your costs. So this way you can be sure your pricing is set up correctly to support profit being generated in the business. So in the arrow number 1, you're going to note your current costs and your percentage increase. And then in number 2, you're going to note your current sales price. So your change in cost and new total cost will calculate in the green boxes to the right. So you'll see that where it says number 3. So what you're doing is you're entering your percentage of increase and your current cost, your percentage of increase. It's going to tell you your change in cost. You're going to enter your current price, and then you're going to see your total new price. And it's also going to calculate your gross profit margin. So it gives you boxes to consider, what are you spending on labor and your labor burden? What are your material costs? What are your variable costs, fuel, equipment, maintenance? And maybe you have another cost in there, whether it be material or something else. So you can download this tool, enter in this information, and it's going to give you your numbers. So that way you can take your first step in ensuring you are pricing for profit. And it's not just a gut feeling. So this is the price and margin tool. So let's dive into this and how this tool works. So if you decide to increase your prices, this sheet shows you how far your sales would have to go down before your gross profit starts to go down as well. So if you're looking at, is this amount of revenue and services serving us? How much, sales do we need to make in our business? And do we need to increase our sales? Do we want to decrease our sales? If we let go of these customers, how will this impact us? So the vast majority of your customers won't notice the price increase if you utilize the guidelines in this worksheet and this workshop. So for example, if you had a 40% margin and 10% increase in price, you could sustain a 20% reduction in sales volume. So you want to go out there and sell, you increase your prices and you're doing less work. So, working smarter, not harder. So you will notice that the smaller your current gross margin, the more you benefit by increasing your pricing. So as you download this tool and you start messing around with it, this is something that you're going to notice. And as you'll soon find out, you could be better off if you lose about 20% of your current customers. Then you will keep 80% of your ideal customers and create the capacity that you need, not only with your team, but your equipment, your operations, so your fixed and your variable costs in your business. So before getting started here, make sure you have your current price, the year's gross sales, the current margin, and you may want to calculate this per service if applicable in your business, if you're providing more than one service. This is another one that I like because I hear all the time, let's reduce, let's give discount, let's put something on sale. So this tool is going to tell you the impact of discount. So it's an impact discount calculator. It's going to show you the increase in sales that is required to compensate for a price discounting policy. So if your margin is 40% and you reduce your price by 10%, you need your turnover to increase by 33% to maintain your profit. Sounds like a lot of work for a little discount. So rarely has such a strategy worked in the long term in the past when you discount, and it's unlikely that it will work in the future. So before you offer discounts, I highly encourage you, download this tool, enter in your current price, enter in your discounts, and see how much more volume you're going to have to produce in order to close that gap of the profit that you're giving away in your business. And before getting started here in this tool, make sure you have your current prices for your major services and the margin for each service. So that's important. So we're going to do our next polling question. Okay, so we came out at the highest is the 4 to 6% of price increase in 2023. All right, so how many of you feel like this when it comes to questions and challenges around communicating your price increase to your clients? So what do you do? So even if inflation and supply chain issues continue, as a professional, you can stay ahead of the curve by communicating with clients up front about expectations and even product availability or service availability. So we have seen that despite the price increases, demand for services is still high. It's hard for people to find a reputable company that they may even be reaching out to you early so they can secure a spot if they find a good service provider. So the trade industry is in a positive place where the demand for new work and projects have been very strong for many companies over the past few years. And the other competitive piece to this is that it's really hard to find a good service provider in the trades. Once you find one, speaking from experience, we make sure that we try to stay one of their favorite customers. So I want to share these points on what you focus on at any time you have a price increase. So you really want to make it about your customer. Your company wants to continue to deliver quality services to them without having to cut corners. So how you service them matters. So really make the narrative about how important they are to you as a customer and the quality that you want to continue to provide for them. Remember, the best way to ensure all profit goals are being met on a weekly and monthly basis is to regularly evaluate your prices. So don't skip over that while you're worrying about, well, how am I going to communicate this to them? What am I going to say to them? So you're going to share the value, to your customer. So you can make a simple statement as, we are in business to do what? What are you in business for? What's your mission statement? What's your purpose or your vision? So really kind of sharing that, marketing statement that you make about who you are and why you do what you do, and tell them, look, we want to continue to provide this value. This is how we show up. This is who we are. So it's important to not be afraid to increase prices, especially on unprofitable or minimally profitable clients. So keep in mind, it's better to lose a few unprofitable clients than to throw away valuable resources, which could have been spent on more profitable clients. So I usually ask my customers, do you want a customer that is going to pay you $1,200, per service, or do you want one that's going to pay you $300 per service? So they do some quick math there. And of course, they always choose the $1,200 customer, and they realize how much more money their business can make, just by marketing to that person. So raising your prices doesn't have to be mitigating or overly complex. So start using these different strategies, to approach raising your prices, not losing your best customers. But remember, as you raise them, the ones that you shouldn't be servicing to begin with are the ones that are going to go away. And they're going to give you more capacity to serve your best customers. All right. And I think do we have one more polling question? Or was that one it? There we go. Okay, so I use a reliable system that considers all my costs and labor at 47%. So I absolutely love hearing that. A lot of the time, price increases will definitely be used, kind of decided emotionally. All right, so I want to share where you're going to get these tools. And then, we'll go into some Q&A here. So reach out to us. You'll get your price calculator, your discount calculator, all of those, as well as an invite for a free instant assessment for Profit First for your business. So go ahead and use that link there. And then if you do submit an instant assessment to us, you will get a call for us to unpack your instant assessment and talk to you about what we discovered to give you some insights. If you're interested in the Profit First book, there is a link for this as well. And then we'll share some information on how you can get a hold of us as well. So we do have a Facebook group. If you are interested in joining, we do usually a weekly live Facebook Live, and we share some great insights about business strategies with you. Okay, did we have any questions, Michelle?
We certainly do, and I want to give everyone the opportunity to go ahead and submit any additional questions you have for Christine using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. She'll answer as many questions as possible in the time that we have left. And while you're doing that, I'm going to ask that Lynn, our moderator, post a link in the chat to sign up for a free demo of Field Routes. For anyone who is not already a Field Routes customer, this is a great opportunity to experience our operations and marketing suites firsthand. She's also going to post a link to get more information about Green Profit Academy. So let's take a look at our first question. How does organic growth affect need to increase prices? In other words, we grow by 50% over prior year. Do I really need to raise my prices by 8% in 2023?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question because so many people, I know specifically in the lawn and landscape industry, experience this natural growth. And they were predicting like, oh, maybe we'll have 13, 20% growth in the last couple of years. And really what we were finding is they were having a 36 to 39% growth, which is almost, double. So the organic growth, I think, it's an interesting concept. It happens to where maybe you're not doing as much marketing. Maybe you've got a great referral program, but you do always want to track, what your cost of goods sold are, what your variable and fixed expenses are, and then tie that to your pricing. And when you look at that, is it producing a healthy gross profit margin for your business? And, what are those covering? Because I know some business owners get a little confused when they're looking at the bottom of their profit and loss statement. And that is not going to tell you what your, profit margin is, because what's left there has to go over to the balance sheet and pay other things. So whether it's organic growth, you're growing intentionally because you're putting out a marketing plan, whatever it is, definitely make it part of your business strategy plan to review your expenses in your business and what's supporting your services, and that it ties to your profit margin in your business.
Great. Next, where are overhead costs included in your model, i.e. vehicles, insurance, facility, etc.?
Yeah, so depending on how you structure your chart of accounts, and this is something I talk about in the book, I refer to it as the technical foundation. So our chart of accounts, per business can be structured differently. I have seen some businesses that will put their filled vehicles and equipment in their variable costs, or their cost of goods sold. So they're tracking that. And then some of them have actually had them down, below the bottom line. So in their fixed expenses. And so when you have vehicles that are involved in producing services for your company or equipment, you definitely want to consider those and look at your return on investment on these. So if you're using your price calculator, if you have filled vehicles that are being used for production or equipment, you want to include those in your equipment and vehicle costs. If you have administrative vehicles, those are going to be considered in your overhead. So you're going to make sure that you're pricing properly to not only cover your variable costs or your cost of goods sold, but also your overhead.
Wonderful. Can you please expound on the profit first formula? Sales profit equals expenses. Maybe even give a quick example. Thank you.
Yeah, so the sales minus expenses equals profit is the traditional GAAP, standard. So it's the generally accepted accounting terms or principles. And then the profit first method is where we're looking at like what comes first, right? So if we make the whole idea is if we're not putting profit and setting aside that profit to begin with in our business and intentionally taking, whether it's 10%, 15% of our total, real revenue and putting that aside, then it's not going to be something we plan for. Just like we might plan for growth and we're looking at how much do we need to spend on vehicles this year? What's coming up to, as a replacement? How much do we need to, look at increasing our pay? Like, what is the amount that we're going to budget for and increase our prices around to pay our employees better? So even if you're looking at making upgrades to your business. So if you need to replace your IT system, your computer system, things like this, these are all things that we plan for as business owners, or we try our best to. We even budget for marketing. So the profit first concept is taking your profit before you take anything else out of that business. Some people start with 1%. They slowly work themselves up to get a healthy business. So the idea is take your profit first before anything else, be intentional about it, and run your business off of what's left. So you're going to create a lean and mighty business that is being built as an asset for you in the future. And while you're building that asset, you're taking an allocation out of your business of the intentional profit that you're setting aside. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and if you have a follow-up question, just go ahead and put it in the Q&A area. In the meantime, how do you handle mid-season price increases if fuel and materials costs spiked in mid-season?
Yeah, so I think that is a challenge that we typically, coach around and we answer, for our clients. Is the best thing always is, be transparent, right? We want to explain to our customers like why we might have a price increase, why something needs to happen. Most customers are going to understand. They watch the news, they know what's going on in the world. They're going to understand that price increases are happening everywhere, and they're going to understand why. So, definitely communicate that. Also, I would say, communicate early. So share with your customers like, hey, this is our plan. This is when we are going to be rolling this out. Maybe it's 30 days, it's a month, something like that, 2 months. Also be clear on what you're communicating and you're sharing. So use simple language to explain the price increase, and definitely avoid industry jargon or technical terms, because this is going to be something that they don't understand and it's only going to frustrate them. Also provide options. If you have to do a price increase with your customers, give them some options to where maybe if you have a pricing program that's like good, better, best, that you review the good, better, best programs with them. Maybe they're in the best and they're like, okay, well, if there's a price increase, maybe I just need to drop down, to the better for a little while. And then, that you still keep that client if they're really trying to, watch their budget.
Well, all right. That is actually all the time that we have for today. We want to thank you, Christine, and we really appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope that this has helped some of you out there, get around your head around increasing your prices. And I hope the tools help you as well.
Yes, and thank you to all of our attendees for joining us. We hope that you found this valuable. Remember to watch your inbox and social media feeds for information on the just added part 3 of our series featuring Christeen Era. Everyone have a great rest of your day.